I grew up believing my parents were my biggest supporters. Every recital, every award, every small win, they were there, clapping louder than anyone. I thought their love was unconditional. But when my grandparents died and left me an inheritance, I learned the truth. Their applause had always come with a price tag, and when I refused to pay, my parents decided I was no longer their child. When I was younger, I used to think my parents were the perfect team behind me every time I brought home a drawing from school. My mom would tape it to the fridge like it belonged in a gallery. When I stumbled through my first piano recital, my dad clapped the loudest, even when I knew I'd messed up half the notes at the time. It felt like love in its purest form. Loud, constant, and reassuring, I'd overhear my friends complain about their parents never coming to their soccer games or dismissing their grades. And I'd feel a quiet pride. Mine weren't like that. They showed up. They smiled, they told me I could be anything. I wanted that line. Anything you want to be played in my head like a promise. Whenever I hesitated before trying something new, Mom would say, "We believe in you." Dad would add, "You've got this." It felt like they were handing me invisible armor. Something I could wear when I was scared. I truly thought their pride in me was unconditional. That it was me they cared about. Not just the shine of my achievements back then, I didn't notice the subtle shifts, the way their smiles stretched wider when I won a prize compared to when I just participated, or how their voices softened with approval. Only when I brought home a certificate as a kid. You don't pick apart those details. You take what you're given, and what I thought I was given was unwavering support. The kind of foundation that makes you believe your family is your safe place in the world. When my grandparents passed away, I was devastated. They had been the quiet anchors in my life. The ones who slipped me candy when my parents weren't looking, who told me stories about their own struggles and triumphs. Losing them felt like losing a piece of stability. I didn't even realize I leaned on not long after the funeral when I was still sifting through grief. My parents sat me down. I remember thinking it was going to be one of those tender talks. Maybe about memories of Grandma's cooking or Grandpa's advice. Instead, the conversation turned sharp and transactional. They brought up the inheritance money I hadn't even fully processed. Yet, because in my mind it wasn't mine. It was just another reminder that the people I loved were gone. My parents, though, spoke of it with urgency as if it were already theirs in waiting. You know, Mom said with a soft tone that was meant to sound reasonable. Family should share what belongs to one of us belongs to all of us. Dad chimed in more direct. It doesn't make sense for you to keep that money sitting there when we have expenses, when the household needs it. Your grandparents would have wanted it used for the family, not just for you. The way they framed it made me feel guilty for even hesitating, as if holding on to what my grandparents had left me was selfish. They wrapped their pressure in words like unity and sacrifice, but underneath it felt like something else entirely. Expectation, entitlement. In that moment, a crack formed in the picture. I'd carried all my life. These were the same parents who had told me I could be anything, who had clapped the loudest at my smallest achievements. But now their support felt conditional, measured not in love or encouragement, but in what I could hand over for the first time in my life. I said no. I told them that the inheritance was mine, that my grandparents had left it to me specifically, and that I wasn't comfortable handing it over. My voice shook, but the words came out steady enough I expected them to argue. Maybe guilt tripped me again, but I didn't expect the explosion that followed. My mom's face hardened immediately. The gentle tone she'd used before was gone after everything we've done for you. She snapped, "This is how you repay us, by hoarding money while your family struggles." Dad leaned forward, his voice low and sharp. "We raised you, fed you, paid for everything you needed, and now you think you're above us, that money is ours as much as it's yours." It spiraled from there. Accusations flying like darts, they called me. Selfish, ungrateful, even brainwashed by individualistic nonsense. Every memory of their support, every "we believe in you," suddenly felt poisoned, as if those words had always carried an unspoken clause. As long as you give back, when we ask the house, which had once felt like my safe place, turned into a battlefield. Overnight, Mom stopped speaking to me unless it was to throw a cutting remark. Dad's disappointment hung in the air like a heavy fog. Even extended relatives were pulled into the drama. Some parroting my parents' line that family should share others, whispering that I was right but refusing to say it out loud. The fallout wasn't just loud. It was isolating the people I thought would stand behind me no matter what had made it clear their love had a price tag, and I had just refused to pay it. The standoff didn't fade with time. It hardened. My parents drew their line in the sand until I handed over the inheritance. I wasn't welcome. They stopped calling, stopped checking in, even blocked me on family group chats. Birthdays passed in silence. Holidays turned into reminders of the fracture. At first, I thought they'd cool down, that maybe distance would soften their anger, but weeks bled into months, and it became clear they weren't bluffing to them. Love had become a transaction, and I'd refused the payment. It hurt in ways I didn't know how to explain. These were the people who had framed my drawings, who had clapped for me at every recital for so long. I believed their support was unconditional. Now I had to face the truth. It was conditional all along. I'd just never hit the condition until now. The choice they gave me was brutal: buy back their love or stand alone, and for a while I wavered. The silence was crushing. I missed them even after everything. But then I thought about my grandparents, how they'd raised me to stand on my own 2 feet. How fiercely they believed in me as a person. Not as a resource. I realized giving in would mean betraying not just myself, but also the trust my grandparents had placed in me when they left me that inheritance. So I chose independence. I stopped waiting for their calls, stopped hoping for their approval. I used what my grandparents left me, not as ransom money, but as a foundation to build the kind of life where I didn't need to fear love being pulled away. If I said no, walking away wasn't easy. It still isn't. But in choosing myself over toxic ties, I realized that my parents showed love through support, while my grandparents gave me the freedom to stand on my own.